This is a short instruction slash tutorial video on removing the fuel tank on your Peugeot Expert slash Citroen Dispatch slash Fiat Scudo. This is the Mark 1, which was made between 1996 and 2007. Now, the tank itself is here under this metal frame. It's held on by 4 13mm bolts. You can see there I'm about 12 inches from the bolt, and I'm about 4 inches below the fuel tank at the moment, so you're going to need a long-ish bar. I can still get my phone to there, which is about 7 inches away. So yeah, you're not necessarily going to need a long bar, but you could get that without even jacking the car up. Your next bolt is down this end of the fuel tank, and again, relatively easy access. The harder bolt is the one on the passenger rear side. I'll go round there now so you can have a look at it. Okay, that's where it is. So it is at the back of, well, not the very back, it's just there on that corner, and unfortunately my bolt snapped along with the other side which it screws into, so the connector for it broke as well, so I'm just left with a hole. So I've just temporarily stuck a heavy duty cable tie on there until I can find the correct fitment. That was difficult, that one, mainly because that pipe, these two pipes are in the way, but with a bit of nudging and pushing you can get your 13mm socket onto that without too much drama. Just bear in mind, like, this is a 2006 and they're very stiff to get off, so I would lube them right up, maybe even wire brush them, just so the threads aren't going to jam up, because that was quite hard to get off, and obviously that one actually snapped. So yep, I had then had to drill out the remaining bolt that was in there, so that was another 10 minutes. So yeah, save yourself the drama. You're also going to have to disconnect this fuel hose, so your diesel comes down here and goes through this trunking. So what you got to do, snap off the hose connector and then pull it away, because this is fixed via this little 10mm bolt, I think it is. You don't have to remove that. I just found that when I needed to put the tank back on, it was handy to take it off actually, so it had a bit of movement to it, and then I could slide the two back together. This is the other end. Down this end you've got another bolt there. So there he is. You've got a bolt there, and then you've got an electrical connector which you have to prise apart using a screwdriver, and you don't actually have to disconnect your fuel hoses. I left mine in place because I couldn't figure out how to get those off, and actually you can see there's a little slot there, and then actually if you push those out, a little bar should pop out, and then you can disconnect them, but I didn't have a small enough screwdriver to do it, so I decided to just leave the hoses on. Obviously disconnect them from here so they don't get caught or break, and then when the tank actually comes down, there is one more hose. That one there stays, that goes into this end of the tank, but your actual fuel feeder is more down this end. So what I did, I undid this end first, and then I could drop the tank down, but I did have to disconnect the other end as well and get the whole thing down in order to get the fuel sender out, because my fuel sender was playing up, and that's what it was all about. There was a bit of mud around the retainer for the fuel sender, and then I'm just going to have to talk you through it. Once I'd managed to unsecure that retainer, I could then pull the actual sender out of the fuel tank, and at that point I could then start checking it, cleaning it, and there is a gauze in there. There's like a cylinder shape with gauze all around it, and mine had clogged, and there was also a collection of crap at the bottom. So if you're wanting to sort out your fuel supply issues, I would recommend doing it. The hardest part of this job was getting the tank back up again, because I thought I was out of fuel, but I wasn't. And it was about 10 kilos, which was really, really hard to get it back up, like especially working on my own, to get the whole tank up and to align those bolts. So yeah, trying to get it all lined up was hard work. What I did in the end, I got 2 jacks, and I jacked up from the crossbars, because jacking up the fuel tank isn't going to work, because then it just kept rocking around and losing the plot. And I figured if you jack up from the bars, you've then got all this extra support that's going to keep it all in check. So I just about did it in the end. I was just about to give up. I was covered in crap, covered in fuel, and great news, managed to get it back on. I would just, when you're on that side, where the fuel inlet trunking is that I showed you, find something to block it if you've still got fuel in there, but ideally disconnect those fuel hoses and everything, and then drain your tank, or just run your tank empty. It's just going to be so much easier to get the tank back up again. That was the hardest part of the job, getting the bloody thing back up. And I was surprised, because I thought that would be a 2-minute job, and it took me an hour. So you've been warned. Empty your tank so it's nice and light, and then you're going to be laughing. So that's it, really. Doesn't have to be too complicated. Ideally, make sure that you've got help. Finally, I just want to show you the tools that I used. So where those bolts, those 13mm bolts go in, I just greased up those threads a bit. So that's hopefully going to mean it won't be too hard to get them out again. A brush for cleaning lots of the built up rubbish on top of the fuel tank, mainly around where the sender unit is. That's an attachment for my jack, which was so helpful getting the fuel strap, getting the strap for the fuel tank up. That's the regular one, but that was super helpful. That's the jack I used. It is quite a brute, but that's what I used. I used this little toothbrush to clean the gauze on the fuel sender unit. There's my 13mm socket for getting those 4 out. I did put it onto a drill when I refitted them, because I'd lubricated all the bolts, so I could actually get them in quickly with the drill. But yeah, initially I had to use this, so make sure you've got a good socket set. That's the one I use. About 30 quid on Amazon, I think, or eBay. The hammer was needed to release the retainer, the big plastic retainer that keeps the fuel sender locked in place. You just have to tap it and tap it and tap it, lubricate with WD-40 or similar, and just keep tapping away, and it will start coming undone. And then you just twist it off, and then your fuel sender will come out. There is a video by a guy called Piggy Power who actually shows you the removal of the sender unit and how to clean it out. but it's all fairly obvious. Just take your time and be careful. Obviously with any job like this, there's a lot of dirt, a lot of mess, so make sure you've got plenty of rags and stuff. And if you're handling fuel, make sure you've got containers to pour your fuel into. But like I say, if you want to keep the job simple, just drain your tank first. Whether you're just going to run out of diesel, just run it till it's empty, or if you're going to actually physically drain it somehow, that would be a great idea as well. You're going to have a bit of a clean up. I've still got loads of cleaning to do here. You can see all the skank has got all over the tools and stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps. And just in case, I'm not a professional YouTuber, but if you do want to make a donation to say thank you, feel free. And look at that, you can even buy me a coffee, because I do like my coffee. And if you want to buy me a coffee in person, you're also very welcome. I'd love to do that with anyone who's in the area. Southwest Cornwall, give me a shout. And yeah, really hope this video has helped someone out there who wants to take on this horrible job. Cheers now.